In the last 30 days, I closed 2 loans for my really good girlfriends. One was a duplex that wasn't really a duplex, and one was a condo that wasn't really a condo. And I'm not gonna lie, I was super nervous about the condo one, but both of them closed. The story is crazy and I wanna share it. I want to start off with the duplex. My friend was nervous about getting pre-approved from the very beginning. Anything that she does, she pours herself into. She has been researching the Baltimore market, understanding real estate, understanding the best moves for investments and flips. She's even in the Develop Her program. But she was nervous about getting pre-approved because she was unsure where her debt to income ratio would be with the student loans. So she's a doctor, so she has a lot of student loans, and rightfully so, she was nervous about her debt to income ratio being high. Perfect credit score, would have gone conventional, but because of the debt to income ratio, we use an FHA loan so that we can maximize her purchasing power. In her case, she wanted to initially buy a primary residence, but after talking through it and her goals of being an investor, she decided she wanted to get a duplex. So with the duplex, it made things a little bit easier because we were able to use additional income from the second unit. So the rental income that she will receive on the second unit, we can use in addition to her regular salary. So in this case, she was able to qualify for more. So in Baltimore, multi-units can be tricky. Although they're listed as a multi-unit, sometimes they're not a multi-unit. In case you're looking at a duplex and it doesn't appraise as a duplex, then we lose that income on the second unit, which changes our debt to income ratio. And we will have to do things to pivot and restructure her files so that the debt to income ratio still works. So I did prep her by saying, hey, we may need to pay off some credit cards, eliminate some debt, buy down the rate for this to work just in case a property doesn't come back as a duplex. She found a duplex, she put in an offer. The realtor ended up being the seller as well. He did not accept her offer on the property that she wanted, but he had another duplex that was literally right next door. So we're under contract, we've ordered the appraisal, we've sent it to processing, we've done all of the things, and we hit a few roadblocks. The first roadblock was taxes. So in Baltimore City, the taxes are already high as shit. And when I pre-approve clients, I always estimate what the taxes are going to be. In this case, the property taxes were underassessed. I did estimate a reasonable amount for taxes, but title companies use the Baltimore City multiplier. With Baltimore City property taxes being high already, that blew her debt to income ratio through the roof with just the taxes. And so we had to figure out what we were going to do to get the debt to income ratio down. On top of that, the appraisal came back, and just like we thought, it was not a duplex. So we lost the additional income on that second unit. And we in fact had to pivot to pay some things down, to strategize buying down the interest rate, anything that we could do to just get her debt to income ratio to where she was still qualified to purchase this, because I had to make this happen. So because I already talked to her about this, she was ready for it, and we already knew what we had to do. So she decided we were going to split it. We were going to pay down some debt. It was one credit card in particular we were going to pay off. And then we were going to buy down the interest rate as well. When I did a little bit more research and I was going to do a rescore to pay off that card, I noticed on her credit report she was simply an authorized user. So what that means is, why are we going to spend our money to pay down somebody else's credit card when we could just take ourselves off as an authorized user and then remove that debt? So that saved the funds that she was going to use to pay off that credit card. So we removed her as an authorized user. Now she has a little bit of money left. Let's take that money and put it down to the interest rate and put it towards buying down the interest rate even more. In the week that interest rates skyrocketed to the highest that they've been all year since January, she got a 5.9 interest rate for a duplex. So she added some doors to her real estate portfolio, and she's now a landlord, and I'm so excited for her. And it was a joy to be at the settlement table and just to see how happy she was making her first real estate purchase. It's the first of many, and I can't wait for the next one. So to move on to her partner, when we were at brunch, I kind of talked her into getting this condo. The property that she ended up buying was a property that her partner had already looked at. When she decided she wanted a multi-unit, it wasn't an option anymore. But there was some emotional connection there because her partner is a realtor and she manages the property upstairs from this unit. I was like, hey girl, you already have investment properties, you already run businesses, like you have the capital, you have the means to purchase the property, like let's just do it. She was a little bit nervous because last year she purchased a primary residence with me. And because she has those investment properties and other businesses, it was a little bit of a frustrating process with all the back and forth with underwriting and her taxes and things like that. I understood her hesitancy. I suggested she do a DSCR loan. DSCR loan meaning no documents. It's the no document loan that everyone talks about. It's simply based off the rent schedule for that property. So if the appraisal comes back and the rental comps in the area cover the mortgage payment, then it's a provable loan. You do have to have a good credit score, and you do have to put more down. It is an investment purchase. So she had the ability to do all those things. And the other thing is, in this industry, your relationships are everything. So I said, call the lady who you manage the property for. I'm sure she has the contact information for the owner of the property that you want. And I'm like, just ask around, poke around. I'm like, you can make a good offer. You're a realtor. You can tell her you'll be saving her money on the listing side. She doesn't need a realtor. No shade to the listing agent, but you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And I was like, just call, kind of see what's up, just shoot your shot. What can you lose? And she ended up calling, and the owner was ecstatic about it, and she accepted her offer, and we were under contract. And the issue with this one is, to the eye, it's a condo. When you look at it, it's a structure, it's a building. There's a unit downstairs and there's a unit upstairs, but there's no condo association. But legally, it is categorized as a condo because there was a condo association. The seller insisted that she's never paid a condo fee, that there are no condo docs, there's nobody to complete a questionnaire, there's no association, that it just did not exist. So we submitted the file as a townhouse, and it came back as legally a condo. Appraiser said it was a condo. Title company said it was a condo. I then asked title to just do a little bit of research, see what we can find on the condo association. Was it dissolved? What happened here? They were able to provide me documents that the business that owned the condo association was dissolved, but property was never dissolved as a condo. So it was still a condo. Condo desk denied it because of the DSCR investor that we were using, because it was more than 4 units. So if it was less than 4 units, they would be able to just do an insurance review, meaning they would just be able to review my client's insurance to make sure it covered the property. Because it's more than 4 units, they wanted the condo docs, and the condo docs did not exist. So I said that we should submit it through for an exception with the investor because we've already done all the work for the DSCR loan. It was denied. It was a 2-part exception. 1 for the review and 1 if we could bypass it being a condo. They bypassed 1 part of I can't even remember which part they bypassed. 1 part was accepted and 1 part was not. So we actually had to pivot to a conventional loan, because with the conventional loan, if the units in the condo association are less than 10, then it only required an insurance review. So we just had to show that my client had enough insurance to cover the whole property, interior and exterior, and it will work. So at this point, we had to pivot from a no doc loan to a full document loan, something that she didn't want to do, but I did coach her through. I copied the loan over to make sure it worked before I flipped it. We did move forward with switching it to conventional. On Monday the 8th, we submitted this to underwriting on a rush to switch from DSCR to conventional. By the afternoon on Monday, we had a conditional approval. I worked with my friend to get all of her conditions from the afternoon to be able to submit everything the next morning. There were some appraisal conditions. We needed something updated on the appraisal as far as the unit number. And then we also needed a rent schedule on her current property because it's a multi-unit. So I was also using that income from her multi-unit primary residence towards her income to make sure she could qualify for this. It was really complicated. So we got to use income from her 2 units at her primary residence, her 2 investment properties, and we were able to use the projected rental income on this condo that she was buying. So her debt to income ratio was fair. So it did end up working with conventional. We worked together to get all of the conditions. So here we are on the 9th, submitting everything back to underwriting. The seller said her loan ended on the 11th and she was going to pull out of the deal. My friend said she was going out of town again, so I knew that it had to close on Wednesday. So yes, we submitted it on Monday, got a conditional approval, submitted it back with all the buyer's conditions, still waiting on the appraisal conditions to come back. Tried to rush the appraisal conditions. They said they wouldn't come back till the 11th. I'm at the nail salon getting my nails done with my friend that I work with, and I'm like, we just got 2 email updates from the appraisal company. She just told us it wouldn't come back until the 11th. Both updates were made. The rental comps came in for her primary residence and they updated the appraisal to remove the unit already that day. So we're looking at the 9th. The 9th that was updated. We were able to submit everything on Wednesday morning for a clear to close by 10 o'clock. So from Monday to Wednesday, we switched from DSCR to conventional. We got a clear to close on Wednesday. I asked everyone if we were able to close that evening as late as possible. And I can't say enough about our team at Fairway, our closers, our processors. It wasn't our normal processor. She was stepping in to cover for Ashley, who is our normal processor, but it was seamless and everyone just worked quickly. I will say this, it was easier to maneuver this loan because we were at the beginning of the month. At the end of the month, it's very difficult to move things around or push things or move them up because everyone's trying to do the same thing. Everyone's trying to close before the end of the month. Title was able to accommodate at 4 p.m. And then my friend texts me and she's like, my partner graduates at 5:30, so 4 p.m. is not gonna work. And I'm like, what the hell? You know, whole time I thought, you know, she was traveling on Thursday, but I didn't know that her flight was leaving at 8:30. So we had already bypassed that by making this on the 10th. So on the 10th, I'm like, we have to close at the latest possible so I don't put pressure on the rest of the team. So I'm like, we'll see if we can get the package out quicker. We'll see if we can get it to you a little bit earlier. We'll do the best that we can to try and get this closed as quick as possible so that you can make it to graduation. Long story short, it was already long, never mind. Long story longer, everyone pitched in for teamwork here. The title company sent her a mobile notary to her house at 4 o'clock. She was supposed to be there at 4 o'clock. The mobile notary takes the wrong exit. It puts her off 20 minutes. They were supposed to leave for the graduation at 4:30. The closer doesn't get there until 4:20. Because she signed all of her e-documents earlier, majority of her documents were electrically signed. She was finished closing at 4:31. They hopped in an Uber and they made it to graduation. And then the next day they went on freaking vacation. Like, my heart is so full. I was so grateful to be a part of this. This is why I love my job. I will do it over and over again. As stressful as it was, I would do it 10 times. Maybe not 11, but I would do it 10 more times.